Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today's video is going to be part 10 of my reacting to your period horror stories series. I cannot believe that we have made it this far to 10 parts. This is the 10th part. That's crazy. I have a series on my channel. How did that happen? I'm really excited to be filming this video. I'm also so excited that it's finally summer for me so I can be posting so much more, and I'm so excited for that. I have so many videos planned. Before I start this video, I did just want to make a little quick announcement that especially if you're watching this video, you want more awareness about periods, you care a lot about like periods in general. I have started fundraising for this national organization called Alliance for Period Supplies. They work with a ton of allied programs to make sure that people who are in need and don't have the proper access to period products or just care in terms of periods in general, they help to provide them with that, because there are so many shocking statistics on just how many people who menstruate skip out on school and work and just so many important like life events and just in general struggle in life because they don't have the proper access to pads, tampons, underwear. So my goal right now is $1,000 to fundraise, and so the link if you would like to donate, or you know anyone who would be interested in donating, will be down below in the description box. So please share that and just spread the word, because I'm really trying to raise money for this, as I just really believe that it's such an important cause to be aware of. Anyway, with that said, I am going to get into this video of reacting to your period horror stories for the 10th time. There will of course be a post up by the time you're seeing this video for a part 11, so if your story wasn't read in this video, or if you just have a story to submit, please go to my community tab to the post there, because that's where the posts always are, and comment your story, and I will see if I get to it in the next part of this series. So with that said, let's just start reading stories. I had to go to a 5.5-hour dance competition for my last dance competition of the season, and my period decided to start then. My costume was a blue top and white shorts because I was the lead, and everyone else had black shorts with a pink top. So I was the one that stood out the whole dance. Well, I think we know where this is going. We were about to go on stage, and then I felt a waterfall of blood, and I instantly ran to the bathroom and I leaked, and there was a massive red stain on my white shorts and skirt. I ran to tell my dance teacher what had happened, and they had already called us on stage. So I had to take off the white shorts and skirt and put on jeans that did not match, so I definitely stood out in the whole dance, but it was quite traumatizing. We did get first place, so I guess that was the high of the day, and after that season I quit because I wanted to do gymnastics, so I hope this never happens to me again. Oh my god, that is so embarrassing. And of course, you were the one who was singled out in the performance, and then that happens to you. It's just so unlucky. Oh my god. I was going on a camping trip with my grandpa, stepbrother, and stepsis, of which I am super close to my stepsis. We were going in an RV, and at the place there was zero Wi-Fi or calling service, not to mention it was over 2 hours away from my home or my grandpa's home. On day 2 of the trip, I had started my period, of course. Luckily, this wasn't my first time and I had packed for it. I only packed 3 thin pads and about 20 pairs of underwear, but every other period was a drop of blood. Not this time, of course. It was enough blood to completely cover Mount Everest. I had to stack underwear like a world stacker champion. The trip was about 7 days, really 6 but close to 7, and on day 5 I was finally able to find a spot with a bar of service, so I spam texted my mom to come and get me pads, but because of how far she was from me, she instead called my grandpa to get pads for me. I had to get pads with my grandpa and some random male Dollar General worker, RIP. I do not know how I would live that down. That just sounds like such a nightmare, like not only dealing with it but the embarrassment. Like, I'm so sorry, that really sucks. That's really bad timing. This happened about a year ago, so my grandparents were watching my siblings and I since our parents were on their anniversary trip. We left for a restaurant for a few hours and we came back to trash all over the floor. Turns out my dog went through my trash and ripped out all my used products. All my siblings and grandparents saw, and I was so embarrassed. My grandma took me to the store to get popcorn and ice cream and then watch my favorite movie with me. She was so sweet. Oh my gosh. Now I make sure to close the bathroom door whenever I leave. I have read so many stories throughout this series about like dogs taking the products out of the trash. I better remember to lock the bathroom door because I have a dog and I'm afraid that this is going to happen to me. This is me and my friend's shared horror story. Ooh, a double story with 2 people. We were having a sleepover and she had her period. I didn't yet, so we went to Target and got matching PJs. She got the darker color, I got the lighter one. We were playing truth or dare and then got called down to eat dinner. She asked me if we had any pads and I told her they were in the bathroom. Later I told my mom my stomach hurt and I thought it was because of the food. Me and my friend went upstairs and went to sleep. When we woke up, both of our sheets were stained red, and to make it worse, only my toxic stepdad was at the house and my mom wouldn't be home for 2 days. That's really funny. You probably like synced up with her somehow. Oh my god. Sleepover horror story with blood. Okay, this isn't really a horror story, but this person just wrote, I woke up and I felt it. That's so real. This happened really recently, so I was on day 5 of my period, and when I woke up there was no blood, so I thought I was done with my period. I know exactly where this is going because this has happened to me way too many times. I didn't wear a pad and I went to school. At 10 a.m. I started to get cramps and I sneezed and I felt it. If you know, you know. So I asked to go to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom and guess what? Blood all over my favorite underwear. It's always the favorite underwear. I was freaking out because I didn't have supplies, so I stuck toilet paper and tied my jacket around my waist just in case if I leaked through. Lesson learned, don't trust your period. I hate periods in my uterus. This is so real. This might be like the realest thing I think I've ever read. My first period came on a Thursday and I have ballet class on Thursday. I am a pretty serious ballet student, and if I skip ballet for no reason, then I could risk getting in trouble. By the way, I have a black leotard, pink tights dress code at my studio, so I was pretty much screwed. The first question I asked my mom when I got my first period is, can I use tampons? My mom said yes, but she couldn't get them to me until the next day. Also in ballet world, nobody wears underwear under their tights and leotards unless you're 5, so I didn't have that option to wear a pad and underwear. So I had to wear a pad just sitting in my tights while doing jumps, turns, and kicks with a pad in pink tights. That sounds absolutely horrible. Long story short, I ended up not leaking and learned how to put in a tampon in the next day, but holy macaroni, that was the scariest ballet class ever. Also, RIP those pink tights. Let's just take a moment to give a little moment of silence for those pink tights. I was in 4th grade, so I was 9, almost 10, and we had a field trip to a museum. I wasn't feeling well in the morning, but I didn't tell anyone because I really wanted to go on the field trip. I was the most developed in my class, but I didn't think much of it as my period. During the day, I felt nauseous and told my teacher. She had me sit down for a little bit and then I felt better. Throughout the day, my cramps started getting worse and worse, but it was finally time to leave the museum. My cramps got so bad on the bus that I had to tell my teacher. Once we got back to school, my teacher took me to the nurse and I explained what was happening. The nurse had me lay down and call my mom. I told her I felt better, so I went back to class. She probably didn't think it was my period since I was only in 4th grade. We were beginning a math lesson when I asked to go to the bathroom. When I was in the bathroom, I felt something wet gush down and I looked at my pants. Blood was everywhere. When I tell you everywhere, I mean everywhere. I started freaking out because I didn't have anything on me, no pad or tampon. I was in the bathroom for around 10 to 15 minutes when I decided to go to the nurse and figure this out. I told the nurse and she gave me a couple of pads. She ended up calling my teacher from the nurse's office so I wouldn't need to tell her in front of my whole class. I ended up staying in the nurse's office for about 45 minutes. It was actually really nice because she was talking to me about her first period story as well as how to cope with it and all the basics I should know. My mom ended up picking me up and bought a velvet red cake for me. Moral of the story, don't be afraid to ask for a pad or tampon. You are never alone. That's so terrifying, but honestly that had such a like happy twist at the end to it. I love that she was helping you with that, and also what your mom did. My mom also made me a red velvet cake when I got my first period, but honestly that must have been so scary, like getting it that young. I can't even imagine. I got my first period at a roller rink party and bled through my light pink skirt. It was so awful, and there was blood on my skirt and I didn't realize until the skate guard told me. When I got off the rink to go to the bathroom, there was blood running down my leg and I ran to the bathroom as fast as I could and cleaned up, but I still had the stain on my skirt. And when I went back on the rink, some stupid boy yelled, "Hey look, it's Bloody Mary, haha." I was so embarrassed, but luckily I got a jacket from Lost and Found to tie around my waist, but I ended up having to leave early because the boys were so mean. This is what I mean. I am so sick of the period stigma. I'm so sick of boys thinking it's okay to like make fun of. I could go on and on about this. I'm so sorry that happened to you. I woke up on a Monday morning with absolutely miserable cramps and like absolute waterfall period. That is absolutely like the worst. Monday cramps period, horrible. Like 1 pad per hour before I went on birth control to regulate it, but still had to go to school. Dad, how dare you let me go to school? I'm in pain. So I got on the bus and made my way to school. I went to first block choir and sat down and was in so much pain, and my now ex-boyfriend noticed and he asked me what was wrong, and I told him because he doesn't think periods are nasty as one man should. He was making sure I was all right through the period. Choice of words, I see that there. And the bell rang and I went through part of my day, and I was in science 3rd block and about to go to math, so I went into math and my boyfriend was behind me and he noticed I had leaked and he told me, so I started getting really scared and self-conscious, but he didn't care and he gave me his hoodie to tie around my waist. This man was the man, dude. I don't know what happened there, but if nothing too serious, get that man back. My school went on a camping trip for 2 nights and of course my period decided to start then. Of course, because periods always have to come at the most inconvenient times possible. It was really heavy and we were doing water sports that day. I don't wear tampons yet. We went on a kayak and I fell in. My pad came out and was floating in the lake. There were only male instructors. It gets worse. That night it was still really heavy and the toilet blocks were really far away, so I wore period underwear and an overnight pad, and I wake up to find I leaked on my sleeping bag and the boys came into our tent and saw it. Let's just say I'm not going camping again. I did not know how I would ever live down like part of that story. I was at school and I was in 6th grade. I was wearing white shoes. Shoes? That's an interesting twist. And I knew what a period was, but what I did not know was I was going to get it that day. And keep in mind, those were new white Converse. I was wearing gray pants. Anyway, I was in class and I saw something red on my shoes. I thought it could have been red paint from art class, but it wasn't, so I went to the bathroom and I also saw my light gray pants were stained, you know, down there, and that is my first period horror story. That is so scary. Like, you think it's paint, but then you realize that is horrible. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I was at Disney World and on a ride. We were waiting in line and I noticed I had started my period. I had had it before a few times. This was 2 years ago and I thought it wasn't that big of a deal. I was wearing white Nike Pros and a t-shirt. When we were about to go on the ride, I looked down and noticed there was blood all over my shorts. I couldn't go back, so I had to go on the ride. When a big drop came, a huge gush of blood came out. I'm picturing this, oh my god. Considering I was kind of new to periods, I got terrified and fainted. When the ride was over and I was unconscious, the little boy sitting next to me started freaking out, thinking I had died and was bleeding internally everywhere. Oh my god, that little boy is probably so traumatized. I really hope that one day he like grew up and learned what it was so that he doesn't have that traumatic memory in his head. My cousin was like 10, she's a year older than me, when she first started her period. She wore her pads upside down, the sticky part wasn't sticking to her underwear, for her first few periods and got an infection down there. I can't even think about how bad that would hurt. Oh my god. I've like thought about that before. If you put on a pad like the other way, that literally hurts me just thinking about it. So I live in Singapore, and as you know, Singapore is a hot and humid place, so Singaporeans tend to sweat a bunch. So basically I was in school and my class had physical education lesson as the first class of the day. I didn't know I was going to get my period anytime soon. Always comes when you least expect it. We were told to do running that day and I was sweating buckets. I felt something weird down there but didn't think much, as it felt kind of normal to feel hot and sweaty all the time. That is so real. I always like confuse, is it sweat? Is it blood? Is it discharge? What is it? Suddenly a group of senior guys walked up to me and pointed at the floor. I felt horrified to see that I was running and dripping blood on the concrete. It was traumatic. My teacher noticed and sent me to the office to get myself cleaned up, but I had blood everywhere on my uniform and the office didn't have any spares. And what makes matters worse, I had a graded presentation that day in front of the whole school. Fortunately, I was given a letter of excuse to go home and I literally could not face my classmates the next day. I'm proud of you for even going to school the next day, honestly. My story. So I was at a Taylor Swift concert, loved that, Swiftie for life, and I was so happy because I love Taylor Swift, so I dressed up as the Lover album and I had a light pink dress on with white boots. It sounds like a bad combination for a period. So I didn't know I would get it, even though I had cramps like all day, but I was just too annoyed to deal with the truth. LOL, real denial always kicks in. So we got there and for the first half it was great, but after I went to the toilet I realized I had bled through my pink dress and I had blood running down my leg onto my white boots. I didn't have anything, so I had to ask a stranger, but she did have a tampon, so I had to use it even though I had never used one before. I was on my own and it was awful, but I went back and told my mom and it was all fine. This was my second period, by the way. Well, I guess Taylor Swift's red era got a little too literally red for you. So in the 6th grade we had this field trip to go to for the choir in my middle school. It was in this big auditorium and I was sitting next to my best friend crush, who was a boy. At this time I was wearing a regular pad which had no wings and I had a very heavy flow. This is why I always get pads with wings. When we were about to leave, our teacher asked us to stand up and asked us to form a single file line, and then my best friend slash crush tapped my shoulder and pointed towards the puddle of blood on my chair. Those chairs were white. I told the boy the blood was Kool-Aid. The next day our teacher explained to us, including the boys, what a period is. Was it because of what happened to you? I never spoke to him again after that day out of embarrassment. You never spoke to your best friend again because of that? Oh my god. Okay, I was on my 3rd or 4th period ever, and it was at a very inconvenient time. Not only did it come a week early, but it came when our water heater got a leak, meaning our water had to be turned off for 4 days. So my dad was working on it, so obviously we couldn't turn on the water, so I had to leave the toilet how it was. It looked like a crime scene. If I was not allowed to flush on my period, I do not know what I would do. And my brother opened the toilet seat and was absolutely traumatized because he didn't know what a period was yet. He was 9. I'm just picturing your brother opening the toilet seat and screaming at it. That is too funny. It was summer and I woke up feeling really sick. I was on my period and so I thought it was PMS. I was laying on the couch resting and watching a movie. I felt so sick and fell asleep when I woke up. I felt incredibly hot and my dad took my temperature. I had a fever and so he took me to urgent care. I had COVID for the 3rd time and was on my period. Not fun. That might be the worst possible combination, like being on your period and being sick. Awful. So this was on my first ever period. I had gymnastics practice and my mom told me that a tampon would be easier, so I attempted to use one. I put it in, but it hurt trying to. Like, my eyes were watering. It hurt so bad. I had an extremely light flow since it was my first period. I went to practice for 3 hours and when I came home I decided to take it out before I showered. I attempted to pull on the string but it wasn't coming out. I sat there for 10 minutes but it wasn't coming out. I texted my mom and she came and also couldn't pull it out. I had a tampon stuck. That is so terrifying, and also like what a way to break into having periods. I was crying in fear and I took a shower with it in, and after that I tried again, and after pulling and pulling with pain I finally got it out. I think my flow was way too light for a tampon because there was little blood, and I think that's why it got stuck. That makes sense. And I also think like for a first period that's why it's probably smarter to use pads, just because first periods are typically light, not for everyone, but tampons, like, it can't be too dry or it will get stuck and like really hurt. Basically it was my boyfriend's birthday party and I was wearing a cute pale green dress. Pale dress, setting the stage well. I was the only girl at the party aside from his mom. I felt wet down there so I ran to the bathroom. Literally everyone asked where I was going. I got to the bathroom and I leaked through my underwear. Yippee. I rummaged around in my purse because I knew I had a pad. I couldn't find it. Then I realized that I had left it in the couch. Of course, out of all the things in your purse, that's the thing that falls on the couch. I heard a knock on the door. It was my boyfriend. I asked if he could grab it and slide it under the door. So he did, and it was fine after that, but my lord, that was embarrassing. It lasted 3 days and my boyfriend and I are still together. Aw, that's cute. That's such a nightmare though. Like, of course at a birthday party, it's always at the worst time. Like, it can never be when you're just like, you know, casually chilling around and then you feel, oh, I got my period and it's just fine. No, it always has to ruin everything. And the last one I'm going to be reading for part 10 of this series series for this video is this one because it looks very interesting. I was at day 1 of going to Disneyland and I was informed about what was going to happen, but I went to the bathroom and bam, it was terrifying, but I just kept going and I had terrible cramps. So by the end of the day I was really tired. That is the worst. Walking around Disneyland itself is exhausting, but then having cramps on top of that. But my family wanted to go to the pool. I said I didn't feel like it even though I love swimming, and they were confused but still went. I was dying of cramps on the bed, but I fell asleep and I just kind of forgot about it, and we went to California Adventure. I did really want to tell my mom, but I kind of had to because there was a lot more blood now and I didn't know what to do. So I just went on the next ride. If you've ever been to Disneyland or Disney World, they both have this one in Disneyland. It's the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, and in Disney World it's called the Tower of Terror. It goes super high then drops you really fast. If you've ever been on it, it is terrible. Plus I hate stuff like that. I had never been on it and I just felt something leave my body. I saw some blood float up in the air when we dropped. I tried to grab it so no one else would see. How does that even happen? But it just stained my sweater, and after that I ran to the bathroom and there was a big stain on my white shorts. Then I pulled my pants down and this waterfall basically happened. So I get up freaking out. I go whisper in my mom's ear. Then I was 12, so kind of expected, and my mom, the hero of the day, has a little bag with pads and spare underwear. So I run to the bathroom and get set up. I suffered through the pain all day, but the funny thing is later that night I was walking behind my sister. She was 14 and her new white shorts were now completely red. So I told her and we ran to the hotel room. You guys got it at the same time. That's so funny. See, this is why I believe that like syncing up is real, because I feel like if you're having a period horror story, some girl near you is also gonna have one pretty soon. Anyway guys, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching it. I cannot believe I'm done with part 10 of this series. That is absolutely crazy. If you've been there since the beginning, if you've been a real one since part 1, then that is just absolutely amazing and I appreciate you so much. I'm really sorry if I couldn't get to all of the stories in this video. I just didn't want the video to be insanely long. But again, if I didn't get to read your story in this video, then please look out for the community tab post for part 11, which should be up right now, and go post your story there, or just if you have another story to submit, please go submit it there. That's the only place where I get these stories from to read in these videos. And yeah, I really hope that you guys are about to have a really fun summer, because I'm on summer break now. I'm gonna be a senior. That's just absolutely crazy. Again, if you would like to donate to the cause of just helping period poverty in general, the link for that will be down below. Anything helps, any contribution. I just really wanted to do this as a little project this summer because it is a cause that I really do believe is important to help out with, especially considering the kinds of videos I make on my channel. I just thought I should really do something for that. And so yeah, before you leave, please like this video, and if you made it to the end of this video, comment down below periods are truly the worst, because periods are truly the worst. And also please subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you never miss another part of this series, and also for all of the other period content that I do on my channel. And yeah, that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching it, and I love you guys. Bye!